Hey everyone, Pan Bam Richard and welcome to episode 6 of the Bomberman Hero playthrough. In the last episode, we defeated Nitros in Primus Castle, but have lost Milian to the Clock Tower through Baruda. And I will be tackling this area here by starting off with the Killer Gate here. And now we're going to be introduced to one of Bomberman's new power gears that we'll be introduced to here in this playthrough. Redundancy at its finest. But here we go, we have the Bomber Copter here, which may look small in appearance, but it certainly changes quite a bit in terms of gameplay mechanics, just like the other power gears. So we're going to be hopping up right over here. As you might realize with the Bomber Copter here, it's more so flight, just like how the Bomber Jet is, but unlike the Bomber Jet and the Bomber Marine, it's not an auto-scroller. You can actually go around and explore the area, which is something I very much appreciate here. So essentially with the Bomber Copter here, we can use the control stick to move. We descend naturally here, but we have to hold the A button to ascend. So there's a certain limit to how far we can ascend, and we can descend by letting go. But holding the B button allows us to maintain altitude. So those are some very useful tricks for what we need to do with the Bomber Copter here. We have to press the R button in order to drop the bombs. We do have to press and hold the R button in order to do the usual rolling bomb tactic, but in copter form. Unfortunately, if you're way too high, it won't explode all the way down because they're not remote bombs. And the goal of the Killer Gate here is to destroy all of these submarines right over here, and they take quite a bit of punishment before you can actually destroy them, but they're worth 200 points each. And I believe there are 12 submarines in all, which will help us towards the target score, but the target score is 4,000 points, so there's still quite a bit in order to collect. There aren't any items here that can get us past the target score except for our first playthrough, where you can actually find our first attack bomb in this area here. So I really do like the Bomber Copter. At first I didn't really care about it when I initially played this game, but as I continued to practice with this game this year, I started to grow an appreciation for how the mechanics of the Bomber Copter are, because it's essentially what Bomberman is, just all about exploration. But at the same time, you're not going through auto-scrolling. You're not going through an auto-scrolling segment. And actually, now that I think about it, this is the only power gear where you don't have to go through auto-scrolling. And we'll be getting to the last power gear in the next planet, something that I used to have such a very high opinion about, but now I don't. And we'll get to that once we get there. But yeah, the stage here otherwise is pretty self-explanatory outside of the new introduction of our power gear here, but you do need to get used to this. You do need to get used to these mechanics throughout as we further go through this area here, because you're definitely going to be seeing it more than once, spoiler alert, and it's going to be for a pretty essential part. But otherwise, this stage isn't really so bad. It just gives you an opportunity to sort of explore the mechanics here of the Bomber Copter. So right below here, you're going to notice the attic bomb right there. There's our extra 50 points right here. The attic bomb for this stage obviously wasn't that hard to acquire, but the next one that we'll be encountering in the next stage of this area, it's definitely something. I am not looking forward to getting to that stage, that's for sure. Not to say that it's like bad level design. It's definitely not bad level design. It's just that you need to do quite a bit of platforming, and it's where the stiffness sort of came in and kicked me pretty bad in the behind as I was going through the stage in terms of practice. But we're almost pretty much done this level here. Just gotta make sure we clear out that last submarine there to get our 200 points. Plus we have ourselves these cannons over here to destroy as well. Gotta make sure we don't get too close to the gate here after we kill these cannons and subs, because we gotta get ourselves an extra 150 points after we kill that submarine there. What did I miss, actually? You know what? After we kill the submarine, I'm gonna cut away and see what we're missing. Be right back. Oh, never mind. Just kidding. It's right over here, so it wasn't as far as I initially thought. I thought we got all 12 of them, but clearly I wasn't counting. So 3 hits should be able to get rid of that submarine, and that chime gives us the A-OK to go finish off this level. So that's it for the Killer Gate here. 4,050 gives us our rank 5. Next up, we have the Spiral Tower. The Spiral Tower. 3,000 points? Doesn't seem like much, but boy, do you have to do quite a bit of scaling here. Vertical scaling, in fact. So, before we do that vertical scaling here, what we're going to do is just collect all the power-ups and items here in the first layer here. It's not really much. Just, before you do that, let's just get rid of the enemies here before they start flying away from me, and of course, let the curse keep going on. To those who have done these know what I'm talking about here, but alright, we got rid of one of those enemies here, and if that sound effect doesn't give you a cue as to how this level is designed, then oh boy, you're gonna be in for a treat once you realize what's going on. But before we scale this tower here, we're gonna go down this small path here, get ourselves some more gems, extra points to get us to that rank 5! That wasn't the part that is the issue of this stage, and of course, I fall to it. I totally jinxed it too, didn't I, after mentioning the curse. But now that we took a bit of a dip here, let's get rid of this enemy right here. Come on, open wide. I don't think we saw this enemy prior to the stage, I'm pretty positive. So that's a new enemy. Unfortunately, I don't have their names, which stinks, because I don't even think the original instruction booklet did have their names. As I mentioned previously, the names only appeared when you went through, when you are facing the bosses, but otherwise, I don't think they have names for the regular enemies outside of what's obvious in the level name, like the Groogs, for example. But here's the gimmick of this tower. Scaling up like in Womp's Fortress, but instead, you're going to be encountering these random spike traps that come out of nowhere. Thankfully, they do show up very early, but it's the spike traps and those drill enemies that you have to be wary of. So, just hope that you don't get in the way of your bomb explosions, because your space here is pretty narrow in terms of maneuverability. So we're gonna get ourselves our heart right over here, very nice. I mean, so far so good in terms of the level design here, but there's a certain point where you really have to make sure that you are measuring your jump distance quite well, because it's really gonna bite you hard if you don't do it correctly. I'm gonna see if we can get rid of that enemy there while trying to not get pierced by that spike trap. There we go. Thank goodness for the everlasting residue of that explosion. More spike traps, which again aren't really so bad. It's more so the enemies that you have to avoid here too. Alright, so here's our exit. We're not going there just yet though. We have some more tower to climb, as you can see right over here. So first off, we're gonna get ourselves our heart here, and there should be a switch further down this path here, and judging distance here, especially with a camera that can't lock or isn't as flexible as Mario 64, is a bit of an issue, but we're doing well so far here. Just gotta make sure not to pierce ourselves through those traps and continue climbing, and that's where the platforming starts to bite you pretty hard if you don't do your jumps well here. Okay, so thankfully we didn't fall so far, so I didn't have to cut away, but this is gonna be a little bit of an issue here. So yes, the threshold is 3,000 points, and our second ad-hoc bomb here is at the very top of this tower. So more the same level design here of the spikes and the drill enemies. Just gotta be very cautious as you go through here. But this jump is an issue. It's basically a floating circle here, and getting these gems are bad, but then things like that can happen if you screw up. Okay, cutting away back to it. Alright, I was hoping to have a flawless run of this stage, but unfortunately that wasn't meant to be. There's the second half of the gems, jump back, and man, it's unfortunate. But there's our final ad-hoc bomb here, so we're just gonna climb up here and forget scaling the rest of that path there. Get rid of this one drill enemy that should activate, but activated way too late there, and got ourselves our final gem, our final diamond, in order to get to the point threshold here. So now we're gonna run all the way back here. A little bit paranoid of what spikes might pop up, like that one over there. There's gonna be one more set of spikes right here, and that's it for the Spiral Tower, if we can actually jump. Alright, there we go. 30, 50, rank 5. Okay, next up we have ourselves a snake route here. 2.5 points, 2.5k points, but you get bonus points from these made-like enemies, because I think they explode if you are in contact with them, but if you destroy them off-screen or if you're far away from them, you get an additional 100 points for the level. I'm pretty sure that's where the point values come from. And we have ourselves, as you can see here, another shard level, so we're going to be collecting golden shards throughout this stage here, and It's not as flexible as you might think. It's actually very linear, the stages, despite the appearance of those shards. But there is one gimmick of this stage that does get a little bit irritating or a little bit bothersome if you don't know how to properly avoid the obstacle. And we're gonna be getting to it very shortly here, but we got ourselves... I wonder if... Wait a second. I think it's the flying things that are actually extra bonus points, because they can fly off the stage. Alright, that answers that question. Okay, so we're gonna get ourselves that gem over there, and we're gonna... Oh, okay, so here's the gimmick. There are these rotating cogs that would, like, ram into you as they slide down the path here. In order to dodge them, you have to climb up onto this. Oh wait, what the heck? There's 3 of them now. Or unless that's the same one from earlier that apparently regenerated upwards from above? Okay, I guess the game will be the judge of that as we finish the stage here. But yeah, this is the issue with this stage. It's all about walking on that small railway, essentially, to avoid those cogs, those gears, and it's just... That's the only way pretty much to avoid it, because Bomberman can't jump over them. I mean, I could try. I mean, we could try right now, actually. But due to the upslope, you can't really do it. I knew it wouldn't work upon trying it there, but I thought I'd show it just in case. But yeah, what you have to do is just basically jump on the railing here and go across in order to avoid those gears. Otherwise, if you don't, then you're gonna experience quite a bit of damage. So yeah, the level design is starting to get a little bit more tricky here, but as long as you keep your wits above you, you should be fine. Thankfully, we have ourselves bonus points from those bird things we killed. Now I am slowly starting to think that the bonus points are for the bird things. One of those two, or the robots, because there's only 2 robots in this stage, I think. Unless my memory's playing tricks on me. But we need to get the final 50 points here because we have to ride this lift all the way to the final shard in order to gain access to the exit of the stage. Yeah, so we have our additional 200 points right there. Open the gates, gets ourselves 2,700 points to get our 5 rank. Alright, and finally, we'll be facing off against Baruda here. A small bit of cutscene here, but in case you didn't guess based on what I said previously in this episode, we will be fighting Baruda with the bomber copter. Yes, this will be our first boss fight with the power gear, and it's the power gear that we were introduced to in this area. Baruda is very simple though. You shouldn't really have too much trouble with this thing. So yeah, everything should be fine in the end here. Ultimately, you are hovering above Baruda, and then Baruda will try to fire projectiles towards you. The target score is 6,000 points, which I believe is unbelievably generous. Even though I started in this playthrough saying that the boss times aren't really that generous, that's more so near the end, but in the beginning they're okay, except for Endol. So here we go, we're gonna face off against Baruda here. I mean, you can even get the power-ups to sort of boost your score, I think. I don't know, I never really had to, nor did I have any reason to, but ultimately, you just need to hover above this thing and fire your bombs underneath it, and everything should be fine. Granted, I think I'm sort of underestimating it here right now, and the curse might get me here. We'll see what happens, but there's no way it can it? Come on, why are you flying all over the place? I didn't really have this much issues with the first time I was playing against him. But I think we kind of locked him into a bit of an interesting pattern here now, where he's just sort of floating around or floating back now. But once it gets to sort of half health, it's going to start firing lasers at you. And yeah, those lasers are still very much easy to job because you could just like hold A to ascend and avoid all of the projectiles. Yet my bombs for some reason aren't properly reaching here. Come on, finish it off, finish it off. We are so far behind for the target score. There we go, see, even when I messed around quite a bit there, we got ourselves 6.5 and got ourselves our 5 rank. Very nice. And that leaves us all the way back here. I don't really like this tower, but thankfully it didn't give us as much trouble as when I initially played through it. We got caught by Piebot, and now, for some reason, the Princess in Canatia Star, I don't know why, I don't even know how, she was just there, and our boss fight went by very quickly, but that's gonna be our next destination for the next episode. But before we get into that, something that I completely forgot before we transition to the new planet. We're gonna show off our ranking here. Thankfully, we don't have to replay anything. We got all 5 ranks, and finally our first 5 live gold medal. Hopefully, we'll see that more often throughout this playthrough here. But here's a bonus stage, very self-explanatory, collect all the gems. And yeah, after this, it's pretty much done with this episode here. I apologize for it being short, but I kind of want to keep it streamlined by making it one episode per area. The only exception being Planet Bomber, because Planet Bomber's area 2 was pretty long. And I feel that with Planet Canatia, we're probably going to be running into that issue as well. Canatia, Canatia, whatever you prefer, tomato, potato, but in the case, we're just going to be collecting the rest of the power-ups here. I don't really get why they give you a fireproof vest during these bonus stages, because they don't carry over. I mean, you get to carry the gems, which is fine, you get to carry the one-ups, which is fine, but not the fireproof vest. But in any case, thankfully we got all of our gems here, and we're going to be collecting the fire power-up at the bottom right. And what are we missing? Oh, there we go. And there you go, that's the bonus stage. I wish you could play those more often, but yes, in the next episode we'll be heading off to Canatia here, Planet 3 of the Bomber solar system, I don't even know what to call it, but we'll be going into Area 1, Lavana Volcano. Until next time, take care.